Power does not begin in politics or war. It begins in the mind. Every empire, every kingdom, every throne was first built inside the psychology of one ruthless thinker who understood a truth most people run from. Humans are not good. They are not fair. They are not loyal. They are opportunists, ruled by fear, desire, and necessity. Machiavelli did not teach evil. He taught clarity, to see human nature as it is, not as we wish it to be. And this is where all true power begins, in the courage to look at reality without emotional filters. Most people are too sentimental to be powerful. They want justice. They want fairness. They want a world that rewards virtue. But the world does not operate by those rules. It operates by leverage, control, and timing. When a man bases his actions on morality, he becomes predictable. When he bases them on human nature, he becomes untouchable. Machiavelli understood that a ruler's first enemy is illusion, the illusion that people will love you for your kindness, stay loyal because of your honesty, or reward you for your fairness. They will not. People love you when you serve their interests. They abandon you the moment you stop. They respect only strength that benefits them. To rise in a world like this, you must remove the mask of idealism and replace it with strategic realism. This is not about cruelty, it's about survival. It's about seeing how power truly functions beneath the surface. The ruthless are not those who lack empathy, they are those who control it. They can feel emotion but never let it dictate strategy. They can forgive but never forget betrayal. They can show mercy only when it strengthens their position. Machiavelli warned, a ruler who relies entirely on goodwill will fail. Because goodwill is fragile, it disappears the moment fear, envy, or greed appear. Therefore, true power demands that you understand both the angel and the beast within you. You must be gentle in words but iron in will. Smile when you must, deceive when you need, and strike only when it truly matters. The foundation of ruthless power is not violence. It is understanding. Violence may conquer bodies, but understanding conquers minds. Look around you. Every powerful person you admire, from kings to CEOs, learned this lesson early. They stopped expecting fairness. They stopped chasing validation. They stopped reacting emotionally. They became architects of perception. To command others, you must first command yourself. Your emotions are your first territory. Your discipline is your fortress. Your awareness is your weapon. That is the Machiavellian foundation, to know what drives people and to use it with precision, to know when to appear merciful and when to appear ruthless, to understand that power is perception, and perception is the only truth that people obey. So before you seek to rule others, rule your own nature. Before you demand loyalty, master detachment. And before you chase fairness, study control, because once you see the world as it is, you no longer need to beg for power, you become it. Power is not only what you hold, it's what people believe you hold. Machiavelli understood that appearances rule the world because people do not see reality, they imagine it. They do not seek truth, they seek comfort in what looks true. A wise ruler must therefore learn to control not just actions but impressions. Most people think power means domination, but Machiavelli knew the opposite. Influence is perception, and perception is control. To be seen as powerful, you must appear confident when you doubt, calm when you burn inside, merciful when you plan your next strike. Weak people show everything. Powerful people reveal nothing. Those who cannot hide their intentions die first in the game of power. The crowd worships images, not truth. That is why the world is ruled by actors, not thinkers. A Machiavellian knows that power depends on illusion, a mask of virtue that hides the machinery of strategy beneath. You must play the saint while thinking like a serpent. Smile at your rival before you crush him. Speak of loyalty while studying betrayal. Promise peace while preparing for control. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is necessary to be learned toward good, but ready to enter into evil when forced." This is not hypocrisy, it is preservation. If you appear too cruel, you provoke rebellion. If you appear too kind, you invite manipulation. True mastery lies in balance. To be an angel feared, a light that blinds as much as it guides. Control through perception means you let people see what strengthens your position, never what weakens it. Reputation is the invisible army that guards you. It fights your battles before you even enter the room. Every word, every tone, every glance, it all shapes the theater of influence. Once you stop directing how others see you, they will invent a version of you that serves their own needs, not yours. That is why the wise control narratives the way kings control armies. The world is not ruled by the truthful, but by the believable. Power is not always held by the strongest, but by the most convincing. You must look like hope when you are chaos. You must look like calm when vengeance fuels you. This is not lying. This is survival. People rarely want truth. They want a story that fits their emotions. That is your advantage. Those who control emotions control reality. Before you speak, ask not what do they need to know, but what do I want them to feel? Because thought creates doubt, but feeling creates loyalty. A Machiavellian leader uses this psychological law like a sculptor uses clay, shaping minds through controlled illusion. Leaders don't beg to be trusted. They construct trust through design, through posture, through consistency of image. In the end, the one who controls perception controls destiny. When they believe you are strong, you are. When they believe you are right, you win. That is the cold beauty of Machiavellian power. Reality is negotiable, but perception is law. Every ruler faces one eternal question: why is it better to be loved or feared? Machiavelli answered without hesitation. It is safer to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. Because love is fragile, but fear endures. Love depends on the mood of others, but fear depends on your control. Fear keeps men obedient when love fades. Fear does not require affection, it requires consequence. That is the law of power. Weak leaders beg for loyalty. Strong ones command it. The Machiavellian ruler understands that respect is not freely given. It is enforced through boundaries, through presence, through consequence. People must feel that disobedience has a cost. Without that, authority becomes theater. Human nature is opportunistic. If you are endlessly kind, they will test you. If you never punish betrayal, they will betray again. Fear, when managed with intelligence, is not cruelty, it is order. It ensures that your will remains the center of gravity in every relationship. But remember, pure terror is unstable. Fear must never turn into hatred. Hatred breeds revenge. Fear creates submission, but hatred breeds enemies who wait in silence. Machiavelli warned, a wise prince should make himself feared in such a way that, if he does not gain love, he avoids hatred. That balance is an art. You must rule hearts through respect, not destroy them through humiliation. People will forgive strictness. They will never forgive disrespect. Fear without humiliation is power. Fear with humiliation is suicide. To control others through fear, you must first control your own impulses. The undisciplined ruler becomes a tyrant, and tyrants die early. True Machiavellian strength is cold, calm, and deliberate, never emotional. When you punish, do it with precision, not anger. When you enforce authority, make it look like justice, not ego. That is how fear transforms into respect. Those who act from emotion lose control of perception. Those who act from calculation control both fear and admiration. In every group, a company, a family, an army, people secretly crave structure. They respect those who can enforce it. Your calm firmness becomes their stability. When they see you cannot be intimidated, they start to depend on your dominance. That is the paradox of fear. When used correctly, it makes people feel safe. A feared man is rarely attacked. A loved man is often betrayed. Love can be faked. Fear cannot. Love fades with time. Fear sharpens with distance. That is why Machiavelli insisted that a ruler should cultivate an aura, not of cruelty, but of consequence. Speak less. Observe more. Let silence do the intimidating. Let discipline do the talking. Never raise your voice. Raise your standards. Never beg for respect. design it through conduct. When people understand that betrayal of your trust brings pain, they will respect you deeply, not because they love you, but because they cannot afford not to. That is the essence of Machiavellian fear, the invisible leash that keeps chaos from turning on its master. It is not violence, it is psychological order. The great rulers of history, Caesar, Alexander, Napoleon, all understood this secret. They used fear not to destroy but to command. They knew that a reputation for strength is more powerful than an army. The world bows not to the kind but to the consistent, and when love fails, fear remains loyal. Cruelty is a word that frightens the weak, but Machiavelli saw it differently. To him, cruelty was not evil. It was a tool, a precise instrument that, when used with discipline, created stability and respect. The problem is not cruelty itself. The problem is excess, chaos, and impulse. The weak man uses cruelty to satisfy emotion. The wise ruler uses it to establish order. Machiavelli wrote, "Well-used cruelty, if one may call it that, is done once for all and is necessary for one's security." Meaning, strike once, strike decisively, and then stop. Mercy without timing is weakness. Violence without calculation is self-destruction. The ruler who hesitates when firmness is required invites rebellion. The ruler who punishes endlessly breeds hatred, but the one who acts swiftly and with purpose earns both fear and stability. The art lies in precision, the ability to punish without losing the hearts of the people, to enforce control without appearing monstrous. When your authority is challenged, hesitation is blood in the water. Power demands that you make an example, not out of cruelty but out of necessity. Let others learn from one act what disobedience costs. A single decisive move done publicly and rationally prevents future chaos. That is Machiavellian mercy, the cruelty that prevents greater suffering later. History's greatest leaders all practiced this principle. Caesar crushed rebellion in a single night. Genghis Khan allowed no second betrayal. Even in business or politics, the principle holds. A leader who tolerates constant disrespect loses all command. Mercy without limits turns you into prey. To maintain power, people must know that your forgiveness is a privilege, not a weakness. They must never feel that your patience means fear. Calculated cruelty is emotional detachment disguised as strength. It is the ability to act without hesitation when logic demands severity. It means choosing respect over comfort, clarity over popularity. The masses do not respect indecision, they respect control. When you act with precision, they sense your dominance, and they obey it. But be warned, cruelty must never become pleasure. Once you start enjoying domination, you lose judgment. The moment your ego takes control, your strategy dies. Machiavellian power is surgical, cold, necessary, and always in proportion. Use cruelty like fire, cleanse, purify, and then extinguish it before it consumes you. Even your enemies must secretly admire your discipline. They may hate your strength, but they will never question it. People follow strength they cannot corrupt. They follow leaders who act, not those who beg for understanding. A Machiavellian ruler does not kill needlessly, he kills illusions. He destroys the belief that weakness will be tolerated. Once that illusion dies, order is born. Cruelty, in its purest form, is not evil, it is control expressed through consequence. A ruler who cannot act decisively will be torn apart by those who can. So learn this law: the world does not forgive softness in positions of power. Be patient, but not passive. Be kind, but never harmless. Strike once, but make it final. Because in a world ruled by wolves, calculated cruelty is the only form of compassion that survives. Loyalty is one of the greatest illusions in the game of power. Most people believe it can be earned through kindness or honesty, but Machiavelli knew the darker truth. Loyalty is a transaction, not a virtue. It lasts only as long as interests align. The moment your presence stops serving others, their loyalty turns to silence or betrayal. A wise ruler never depends on devotion, he manufactures it. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are less concerned with offending one who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared." Why? Because love creates expectation while fear creates dependence. People are loyal to what they need, not to what they admire. Therefore, your task is to make yourself needed. Bind loyalty not to emotion but to advantage. In politics, in business, even in relationships, loyalty built on gratitude dies fast. Gratitude fades with time, but loyalty built on necessity endures. Create systems where people gain more by standing with you than against you. Make betrayal expensive. Make obedience profitable. Do this quietly, through structure, influence, and perception, not through begging or constant reassurance. A Machiavellian leader never trusts the heart, he studies behavior. Words of loyalty mean nothing. Watch what people do when the cost of staying rises. That is where truth reveals itself. The ones who stay through difficulty are not saints, they are investors. So treat loyalty as currency, reward it when it serves order, remove it when it weakens authority. Machiavelli understood that manipulation of loyalty is not about deception, it's about predictability. When people know that loyalty brings reward and betrayal brings loss, they will discipline themselves. They will police their own behavior out of fear of consequence. That is the invisible machinery of control, the kind that rules without shouting. To maintain loyalty, you must also manage proximity. Too much closeness breeds comfort. Too much distance breeds doubt. You must be seen enough to remind them of your presence, but distant enough to preserve your mystery. Familiarity kills respect. The more they think they understand you, the less power you hold. A true ruler controls loyalty like a puppeteer controls strings. He never pulls too hard, never lets them go slack. He creates small test moments that reveal to true allegiance. He observes who flatters in private, who remains silent when criticized, who speaks in your absence. Every interaction becomes information. And when betrayal happens, as it always does, do not react with emotion. React with precision. Replace the traitor calmly. Never show shock. Show inevitability. People must feel that betrayal against you is not just punished. It is erased from existence. That quiet erasure terrifies more than any public threat. Machiavelli's rulers, from Cesare Borgia to the Medici, maintained their thrones not by love, but by management of loyalty. They understood that people are loyal to benefits, not morality. Give them a role, a reward, or a dream, something they cannot have without you, and they will chain themselves willingly. The illusion of loyalty is one of the greatest tools of power because it makes others feel noble while they serve your interests. Let them believe they are loyal out of choice. Never remind them it's dependency. The greatest control is when obedience feels like devotion. So remember this law: never trust loyalty you didn't design. Create it, control it, and recalibrate it as your empire grows. For in a world where everyone seeks advantage, loyalty is not love, it's leverage. Truth is a weapon too dangerous to carry openly. Machiavelli understood that those who speak truth without strategy die first. The world does not reward honesty, it rewards control. Deception, when mastered, is not a lie, it is architecture. It is the art of shaping reality through selective truth. Most people think deceit means falsehood, but Machiavelli revealed a deeper truth. The greatest deceivers say only part of what is real. They reveal enough to appear transparent, but conceal what gives them power. Power survives on illusion. The ruler who tells the whole truth exposes his weaknesses. The ruler who hides behind illusion directs perception. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." That is the core of political survival. People are addicted to appearances. They need to believe what comforts them, not what challenges them. The wise leader gives them just enough illusion to keep peace while quietly shaping outcomes behind the curtain. Deception, to Machiavelli, is not evil. It's discipline. It's the refusal to give the world the information it can use against you. The honest man is predictable. The deceptive man is unreadable, and unreadable men cannot be controlled. Silence, ambiguity, and contradiction. These are the invisible armors of power. Speak when it strengthens your position. Remain silent when it strengthens your mystery. The most dangerous rulers never lie directly. They misdirect. They let others assume. They let rumors become shields. They leak fragments of truth to hide the full picture. Because once people believe they've figured you out, they stop looking deeper. That is psychological mastery. When you let them see a reflection while the real strategy moves in the dark. Machiavelli understood that morality and truth are tools of the powerful, not chains around their necks. The masses demand morality from rulers because it makes them feel safe. But no empire, no dynasty, no movement survives on pure virtue. It survives on controlled deceit, the kind that keeps order and eliminates chaos. To rule, you must play multiple roles: the honest friend, the moral guide, the humble servant, all while remaining the calculating strategist within. This duality is the heart of Machiavellian deception, to appear pure while staying untouchable. You must make truth serve your ambition, not limit it. When you speak truth, speak it in fragments. When you show honesty, show it strategically. Let others think they see the whole of you when they see only what you allow. Remember, those who always tell the truth become slaves to perception. Those who control truth create perception. Every word you speak shapes an image. Every silence becomes a weapon. The wise ruler controls both. If you cannot deceive others, you will be deceived by them. Machiavelli never glorified deceit for pleasure. He glorified it for survival. He saw that every system, from politics to religion to love, is a theater of controlled illusion. The one who writes the script holds the throne. So when they call you deceptive, understand what they mean. They fear your clarity. They fear that you see beyond appearances, that you can bend truth without breaking it. That is not corruption, that is evolution. In a world built on manipulation, deception is not sin, it's self-defense. Remember this law: speak less than you know, show less than you feel, and plan more than you reveal. When you master deception, you don't chase power. Power chases you. Fortune. The invisible force that shapes every empire and destroys every dream. Machiavelli saw it not as magic or luck, but as a wild river, powerful and unpredictable. Most people either surrender to it or curse it. The wise man learns to redirect it. Fortune, he said, controls half of our lives. The other half belongs to us. And it is within that half that greatness is built. Machiavelli used two words that define this balance: virtù and fortuna. Virtù does not mean virtue. It means strength, a fearless adaptability, the power to act with bold precision when chaos strikes. Fortuna is chance, the unpredictable force of events. Those who rely on fortuna live as victims. Those who develop virtù command fortuna itself. A weak ruler prays for good fortune. A powerful ruler prepares for bad fortune. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors the bold, not the reckless, but the strategic. To wait for opportunity is to die waiting. To seize it, even imperfectly, is to bend fate itself. The man who acts decisively shapes the path that others fear to walk. Most people dream of control but fear the risk that comes with it. Machiavelli revealed the truth. Control demands chaos. If life is a river, then your job is not to stop it. It's to build dams, redirect streams, and flood your enemies when necessary. Those who depend on calm waters never reach the sea. Fortune tests character. It gives power to fools and strips it from the unprepared. But Machiavelli's wisdom cuts deeper. Fortune changes sides. When the world shifts, when the crowd turns, when the throne shakes, the man who can transform himself without hesitation becomes unstoppable. Adaptation is not weakness, it's warfare. He said, "It is better to be impetuous than cautious, for fortune is a woman, and to be mastered, she must be dominated." This line is not about arrogance, it's about aggression in the face of uncertainty. Fortune, like power, respects those who take it, not those who wait for it. The timid lose everything because they wait for perfect conditions that never come. Machiavelli's generals built empires by preparing for misfortune before it arrived. They never trusted comfort. They never relaxed after victory. They knew that the moment you feel safe is the moment you lose control. Every storm was an opportunity to rebuild stronger. Every loss was data for the next conquest. To master fortune, you must be both flexible and ruthless. When fate strikes, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What's next?" Move before emotion clouds judgment. A Machiavellian mind is always 2 steps ahead, planning for betrayal in moments of loyalty, preparing for scarcity in times of abundance. That is how power becomes permanent. Fortune only breaks those who resist its nature. If it flows one way, you must pivot with it. The world changes, kings fall, allies turn, systems collapse. But strategy survives. Power belongs to the adaptable. Understand this: fortune is not your enemy. It is your battlefield. It rewards the prepared mind, the one who can change tactics without losing purpose. You cannot control what happens, but you can control what it becomes. When chaos hits, don't drown, direct the flood. The world sees fortune as luck. Machiavelli saw it as leverage. Those who learn to use it build dynasties. Those who fear it fade into memory. So when the storm arrives, smile. That is not the end. It is the moment you prove your virtù. Power is not gained once. It must be maintained every single day. Machiavelli's final truth is simple but brutal. It is easier to rise to power than to remain in it. Conquest is temporary. Control is eternal warfare. The throne is not a chair. It's a battlefield disguised as comfort. Once you sit on it, every eye becomes your enemy, every ally becomes a possible traitor, and every mistake becomes an invitation to rebellion. Machiavelli saw what most rulers refused to see. Love is fragile, but fear endures. People love you for as long as it benefits them. They fear you for as long as you remain unpredictable. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Love binds the weak. Fear protects the strong. Love can be broken by betrayal. Fear cannot. Fear survives loyalty, emotion, and time. But Machiavelli never meant cruelty for pleasure. He meant calculated fear, fear without hatred. A ruler should never make himself hated. Hatred breeds revenge, but he must make himself too dangerous to challenge. The goal is not terror, it is deterrence. People must believe that betrayal is more painful than obedience. Power demands distance. The moment you become too familiar, you lose the aura that protects you. People should respect you from afar, not touch you with comfort. The ruler who laughs too much with his followers ends up laughing at his own downfall. Mystique is not arrogance, it is armor. Machiavelli's strategy of power maintenance has 3 invisible laws. 1. Control. Perception. Never let the people see weakness. Even in defeat, appear calm. In chaos, act decisive. People obey what they perceive, not what is true. Image is more powerful than truth itself. 2. Divide. Loyalty. Never let your allies unite fully. A united group can overthrow you. Keep their interests separate, their ambitions competing, their trust divided. That way, they depend on you more than on each other. 3. Rotate fear. Too much fear breeds rebellion. Too little breeds disobedience. Alternate mercy and discipline. Reward occasionally to create hope, punish strategically to maintain order. That rhythm keeps your power alive. A Machiavellian leader never trusts peace, he inspects it. He never trusts loyalty, he tests it. He never trusts silence, he listens deeper. The greatest rulers do not react, they anticipate. They read patterns in people, seeing betrayal long before it happens. This foresight is not paranoia, it's protection. Remember, power decays when routine begins. The moment you stop adapting, your enemies evolve. Every generation of rulers falls because they mistake comfort for stability. But Machiavelli warned, he who builds on people's loyalty builds on sand. You must build on control, strategy, and the ability to reshape yourself when the world shifts. To maintain power, you must become both the storm and the calm that follows. You must know when to destroy and when to forgive, when to be the serpent and when to appear the saint. Power is not a single form. It is fluid, ever-changing, like water, taking the shape of its container. Machiavelli's last lesson is not about tyranny, it is about mastery. Mastery over perception, over fear, over self. The ruler who cannot control himself cannot control others. Emotional discipline is political strength. The one who reacts loses, the one who observes dominates. When history forgets kings and generals, it remembers those who understood this law. Power is not kept by being good, it is kept by being necessary. Be the one they cannot replace, the one they fear to lose, and the one they do not fully understand. That is how power survives centuries. So remember, in the end, every empire falls. But the Machiavellian mind never dies, because it learns to rule not through mercy or chance, but through timeless precision. Be feared, but not hated. Be trusted, but never predictable. Be human, but never weak. That is the last law. That is how you remain untouchable.